Okay. So basically, when it comes to anthropological thought, so what happens is that you learn the perspectives of a particular thing. Okay, I gave you the example that this is a black object to somebody. Then some people who know it, what it does, that means what's its function. Then in that case, they call it a digital pen. And other people who belong to the particular segment that like you take from who has the background of carpenters family or other areas, so they call it as a wooden object, right? So the way of looking at same thing in multiple ways is called as perspective. And now what has happened is that when it comes to culture and society, so in anthropology what we deal is evolution of humans. So when you are trying to study humans, what you are going to deal, you are going to deal with biological evolution, social, cultural. So social and cultural part is basically concerned with society and culture. So in anthropology, we are going to study about society and culture. Now people are looking at society and culture and they are telling their views. Okay. So now suppose you belong to a particular area. Now you are talking about your society. You are talking about your culture. And if you are the famous person over there, you will be quoted, right? In the similar manner, in anthropology discipline, there were people in the beginning who started talking about it, and they were the front runners of this discipline altogether. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, we are discussing those people's perspectives who started it and how this thought changed over a period of time. So now, first you have culture and society. Sometimes life starts testing your patience. Yeah. So you have culture and society. So now there are many people who are looking at it. Person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4. So all these people are looking at it and they're trying to talk something about it. Okay. So they're trying to talk something about it. Like where did it come from? So if I'm talking a particular language today, are people born with the language? So do they know inherently? No. Then how did it come? Or how people are able to talk, even make some noises which people can understand each other? How? Or why are people connected? Why can't they stay alone? Right? You can stay alone by building your own home somewhere without talking to anyone. Why aren't they being so? Why people are cooperative in some places? Why people are non-cooperative, aggressive in some areas and very docile in some areas? Why is this? So some people try to look at society and culture and they question where did it come from? How did today's society evolve over a period of time? How did it change? From where did it start and how did it change? Okay, that is one way of looking at it. Then next people came and said that did it start in one place or did it start in multiple places? And the other set of people have come and said that, see, in today's context, how can you get what happened 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago? You cannot tell exactly. It's all subjective. Then in that case, stop studying what happened since past. Study what is happening today. What purpose they are solving today. What function they are solving. Right? So then there are other set of people who try to understand the thought process of humans. So they think it differently. They say that, see, culture and society is not what you are seeing in the world, in the real world. Culture and society, that is something that is there in your mind. Okay, it is present inside your mind. So now better study how these things are there inside the mind. So like this, there are different people who are trying to talk about culture and society, and those things we call as anthropological thought. And they are the anthropological thinkers. So these are nothing but way of looking at same thing differently. So you are looking at the same thing but differently. And what happens when the first person says something, the second person will say that, see, I find these flaws in your proposals and I think this has to be improved. Now whether those things have to be improved or not, whether they should accept it or not, you have a department and discipline. When a group of people sit and agree, then things will be changed. If they don't agree, then it remains same. So that's how the discipline evolves over a time. Even the science also, right? So you conduct an experiment, initially it finds successful, but later on you tend to see that it is not applicable in multiple areas. Then you find exceptions, and then again you start working and you keep improving. New person will come, will improve those changes. The same way in the social studies or the human science. Okay, so humanities, there also, with respect to the anthropological thought, you find the same way of improvement and that we study. So at the last stage you have postmodernism. So one by one we'll deal it, but first you need to understand what is anthropological thought at first. What is it? Anthropological thought is nothing but looking at culture and society from different perspectives, and they are the front runners of anthropology. That is the reason we are studying them, and even we study the contemporary anthropologists also, but we begin with who has started it, and that is the reason it has been mentioned in our syllabus. Clear what is anthropological thought before going to start it? First and foremost is classical evolutionism. So for any theory, you have a set structure which you have to follow so that you can develop your content regarding that theory easily. Okay, so there is an order. Where did it start? In the introduction, you will talk what is it. Okay, what is classical evolutionism? We will talk about it. Then you will talk where did it start? What was the background? Before starting something, you have some idea about it. So what is the background? Then after the background, then you will go to the premises. Okay, Then after the premises, you will see what are premises. Premises are nothing but some conditions you will keep before telling something. So even Einstein's laws or any physics laws, before talking about them, you will talk about some conditions. In so and so scenarios, this law will be applicable. In the similar manner, when they are talking about a particular thought in anthropology, they will give you some premises on which it is based. So those are called premises. And then within this thought, there are multiple people. So what contributions they have made, that you should know. Then after that, what are the limitations? Instead of writing criticism, you have to write critical analysis, right? So after that, you have conclusion. So for any theory, this is the set standard. Now, can you please tell me what do you understand by evolutionism? What do you understand by evolutionism? I'll come there. First of all, what do you understand by evolution? Right. Drastical change? Ah, okay. So, do you think it's drastical change? So, slow and drastic are opposite words, right? Okay. Evolution means change. Good. But is it progressive change or regressive change? Change is happening, but is it progressive or regressive? Is it one way or either ways? So evolution means change. It can be either ways, right? So it can lead to a new form altogether. The change cannot need not always be positive. Okay. So evolution means that. And what is evolutionism? Evolutionism is nothing but ideology which is trying to understand evolution. Ism means an ideology, right? Marxism, socialism, communism. So you have all these are ideologies. So these ideologies, they try to understand something, and evolutionism is trying to understand the evolution, idea of evolution. And classical evolutionism, why are we calling the word classical? Because you have in the coming days other topic also. There are evolutionists who are at later point of time. So since you have in the modern day new people talking about same thing, we call them as evolutionists only, but neo-evolutionists, and old people we call them as classical evolutionists. So that is the reason why we use these words classical evolutionists, right? Clear, right? What is anthropological thought and the first classical evolutionism? Evolutionism is an ideology which is trying to study evolution, and classical, okay. So I'll give you this PDF, but at the same time try to understand better, okay. So we are not going to discuss just what's there in the book or the notes of uh, standard books, but we are trying to understand them much better and relate ourselves to the subject. So try to focus on that, try to relate, think on it, okay. So now Herbert Spencer was the first person to define evolution in his work, right? So what did he talk about? So Herbert Spencer, he was the one first to use this word, survival of the fittest. Okay, and generally people think that survival of the fittest was the term coined by Darwin, and it is not Darwin who coined this word, but rather Spencer. Okay, and here Spencer tries to understand how the evolution of society happened through main two stages. See, actually, this is not in the syllabus, but you need to know the little background of the anthropological thought. Okay, so just try to understand. Now, if you look at in the first stage, he calls it as a militant stage, okay, or militant society. Initially, there was traditional or war-oriented societies. So the people used to fight in the beginning days for the resources, right? So in that case, what you notice, whoever wins, they try to take control. So the military strength used to determine who is going to take hold of it, and at the same time there are frequent warfares. But what has changed over a period of time? Next, you have industrial society. Here the power gets decentralized. It is not with those who are powerful, and individuals' rights are in place, okay, which is replacing the monarchy and the military rule. So this is what he has looked at. He says that initially the society was indefinite, incoherent, and homogeneous. So homogeneous means you look at everybody doing same thing, following same pattern, that is homogeneous, right? And incoherent, so what each other is doing is not coherent. There is no coherence with one and the other. So if you see family, kinship, descent, so what is descent? Descent is nothing but from where you trace your ancestor, okay, that is descent. You take other institutions, economy, political organization, these all are not coherent. And then indefinite. Indefinite, what do you understand by indefinite? That means no roles and status are defined in the society. What one person should be doing, what is their status? See, I'm a teacher, you are a student, what is my role? Your role is clearly defined, my status and your status is clearly defined. But in the past, what is that person's role or what is that person's status? It is not defined. So now what has happened? This is the simple society which got changed into definite to, so that means we are changing into complex, definite, coherent, and heterogeneous. Everybody is not doing same thing. All the institutions are becoming coherent with each other. At the same time, it is definite as well. That means people's roles and statuses are defined, right? So, evolution, according to the classical evolutionist, is moving from simple to complex stage, indefinite to definite, coherent, incoherent to coherent, homogeneous to heterogeneous, right? This is what evolution is. And you have many evolutionists. You have Morgan, Bastian, Main, Tylor, Fraser. But in our syllabus, we have been mentioned with Tylor, Fraser, and Morgan. Okay, so we are not going to deal with others because in this area I don't see the importance of this thought completely. L.H. Morgan is one who is most emphasized, and then you have Tylor and Fraser's little contributions. And I'll tell you how these people become important in other chapters of the syllabus. Okay, people think that classical evolutionism is not relevant much. Okay, but it becomes relevant when individual contributions you study. So, what did they believe? They believed that it is a phenomena like culture can be explained with the help of reconstruction of cultural histories. So now you take cultural histories, you take the information, secondary information, that means somebody went to some place, they have written about that place, that means travelogues or some texts that have been published. So you take them, through that you construct the cultural histories and you tell how the culture has formed and how it has evolved. So that's what they are thinking. Okay. So now you got to know what is classical evolutionism. It is about explaining how the evolution has happened. Okay. They believe that culture, whatever it is there, how the culture evolved over a period of time can be explained by constructing the cultural histories. So the basic idea. So you got to know what is it, who are the people involved. So we'll dive deep into it one by one. So what is the historical background? See, you notice in sociology, I told you Herbert Spencer was the one who talked about it. You can see here, military society to industrial society. That was the social background. But again, in the biology, you started studying Darwinian theory that humans evolve over a period of time, right? So we studied about evolution there. Evolution has originally originated, the concept of evolution has originally originated in other disciplines and has been borrowed into anthropology, and that's where the entire study has started, right? So from other disciplines we entered into anthropology for evolution. Auguste Comte, he considers cultural evolution happened in three stages. One is theological, then metaphysical, and then positivism. Theological means everything that happened has been attributed to the supernatural powers. So they think that God is responsible for everything. They attribute everything that was happening to the supreme beings, right? So that was the stage initially. And then later people started questioning. So till the mid 13th century. That means till the medieval period, Auguste Comte considers people has been theological. Then from then Renaissance happened. Okay, Renaissance happened and Enlightenment. So that's where Socrates, these Greek philosophers, and all these people started questioning things, right? So when they started questioning things, though they didn't completely give scientific evidence, but they started questioning things. That means metaphysical is something, but you're questioning the origins. So that's why when you start talking about ethics, I used to say that when you go for origins, then there is no end to the discussion because we cannot clearly define where did it start and how and what's right. Right? Origins we cannot discuss. It gets into metaphysical conversation. So that's why we use that word metaphysical. That means where you're trying to talk about the origin of that particular concept. So now when you're questioning, that's the metaphysical stage. Then when you come up with the scientific evidence, positivism means scientific part, right? Positive means you provide some evidence to it. So that's the next stage of evolution of culture, that is positivism. So in sociology you have Comte and Spencer, and then in biology you have Darwin, who in the Origin of Species 1859 talks that humans evolve over a period of time, and that concept has been borrowed to anthropology, saying that socio-cultural evolution also happen along with the biological evolution. Not just human evolves biologically, but socio-culturally as well. So that's how the concept got into anthropology, right? So evolution and evolutionism, we understood the difference. Evolution means change from one stage to another, and from in anthropology, evolution talks about change from homogeneous to heterogeneous, incoherent to coherent, and indefinite to definite. Right? That means we are moving from simple to complex. This is clear. What are the basic premises? So, what are the basic premises? I just told you. What are it? What are those basic premises? What do you mean by it? Premises are nothing but assumptions that you make before you tell something. So, similarly, they have made some assumptions. They said that evolution is a gradual process. Evolution is a gradual process and it's not sudden. Darwin's theory, you look at that point of time, Darwin also talks about the gradual change over a period of time. So the same thing you can notice here. And evolution is ceaseless and ubiquitous. That means there is no end to it and it is continuous. Right? This is the other assumption. Then you look at, they believe that this evolution concept can be applied to entire society and entire culture. So first, evolution is gradual, then there is no end to it, and this concept of evolution can be applied to entire society and culture. So that means you are trying to trace the origin. Where did it come from? So these are the basic premises. Then, what is determining evolution? What is determining evolution? People want to become perfect, right? And they want the better conditions, material conditions, ecological conditions, environmental conditions. So when they want to become better and they want better facilities, then also they will change. And when your environment is not supporting, to adjust to it, you will change. Okay? And ecological. So not just your surroundings, but your the temperature and other factors also lead to the change in humans. So you'll adapt according to it. And at the same time, when the great people are around you, and if they are talking something, obviously you are influenced by it. So these are the different factors that are determining the evolution. So though it's not necessary, but you need to know it. That like evolution, will it happen randomly? Definitely, there are some factors that are influencing evolution. Right. So what are the approaches and methodology that is used? So comparative research. So this part generally you may not understand today in detail, but you will be understanding when we will be reading unit 8 research methods. Okay, so they used two things. One is comparative method. Comparative method means what you do is that you collect the sources which are already there, you tend to know the history of those cultures, and you try to compare the cultures, okay, and then you try to arrange it in an order. So that's what they are doing. Comparative method is nothing but they were using the second, they did not go and study them. Rather, somebody has written some books, some ideas that are there. They took all the things, they sat there, and they try to understand everything. Okay, then they try to say, okay, this was the first, this was the second, these two has similarities, these two have differences. So this is what they were doing. So the methodology that they used, or the approach that they used, is comparative approach or the comparative research methodology. Okay, then coming to individual scholars. So let's make it bit interesting. So I wanted to give you a brief of classical evolutionism so that you know that why are we studying this, what is evolutionism, what is classical evolutionism, why are these people talking about it. They did not talk about it randomly, because at that point of time Darwin was talking about biological evolution, and sociologist Herbert Spencer and Auguste Comte was talking about cultural evolution. Then from there getting influenced by them, taking their ideas, then these people started thinking that okay, evolution can be applied to entire society and culture, not just the human being biologically alone. And then they said that okay, this evolution is continuous process and it is gradual, there is no end to it, and you can trace the origins of this culture and society. So after assuming these things, then they use this comparative research method and they try to give some conclusions. So that's what we are going to study. Clear? Any doubt? You can ask. Don't try to read this. Just try to focus on what has been discussed. This will be studying. You automatically will be remembering these people. So don't worry about that. But did you understand the basics of classical evolutionism? Right? So why did they talk about it? What is it? Now, E.V. Taylor was a yeah, I'll share this PPT because these are the things that are enough, and I'll be giving you PDF as well, which has detailed explanation of classical evolution. Okay, but see, in theory, it's more about expanding your understanding. It's not about the content, because names and books, what they have said, you'll be knowing them even without reading. But changing it according to context and writing according to the demand of the question will only come with understanding of the concept at depth, right? So try to focus on that. So far, whatever has been discussed is very basic. And now, coming to E.B. Taylor as an individual anthropologist, but he is an evolutionist, and L.H. Morgan is also classical evolutionist. James Fraser is also classical evolutionist. So they believed in certain things, all of them together. They said that every culture, so what they said, the culture evolves over a period of time, and they said that culture evolves stage by stage. Okay. Culture evolves over a period of time. Culture, see here, in the beginning, these people did not differentiate between culture and society. They did not see it differently. But when we learn next theories, we will try to look at the difference between them. So initially they considered it as one, and they believed that it evolves over a period of time. It evolves in unilinear fashion. Unilinear fashion means it unilinear. Okay, unilinear means one way. Okay, in every place it evolves in the same manner, and they believe there are three stages: savagery, barbarism, and civilization. Okay, so they said everywhere culture evolves in the same way, stage after stage. As the culture progresses, as the culture progresses, the direction of evolution is from simple to complex. So it is moving from simple to complex, homogeneity to heterogeneity, indefinite to definite, incoherent to coherent. And they said that there is uniformitarianism. What is uniformitarianism? What do you understand by the word? Uniform means same. So there is similar way of evolving in every place. But what is the reason for the similar way of evolution? You need to understand what they're trying to say. Culture evolves in a unilinear way, in the same way from one stage to other at every place. That see, if it is evolving same in a similar manner in every place, that means uniform. But does every society fit at same stage? That means all the societies are at savagery, all the societies are no, it's not. Why? Because they believe the speed at which the change is happening is not same. The speed at which culture is changing is not same. That is the reason you have differences between the cultures and society. People generally get confused because of the word uniformitarianism. They think that see, when they are saying uniform, that means everywhere everybody should grow similarly, right? They should evolve similarly culturally. But why aren't they doing that? So they said they go in the similar phase. Okay. So suppose this is 2000 B, BC and this is 2000, sorry, this is 200 BC and this is 2000 CE. In suppose this is in Europe. If you take India, in India also they'll go through three stages. For example, I'm trying to explain. Okay, don't directly relate. So here it might be 1900 BC, they are savagery, and 100 BC, they are barbaric, and maybe in 1000 CE, they are civilized. So everywhere the people are evolving culturally in the uniform manner. That means barbarism to civilization, savagery, barbarism to civilization. But the speed at which they are changing is different, right? And you notice the similarities in stages. So in Europe or UK, England, you have barbarism at some point of time, and then you take Middle East countries, UAE. So here also you have same barbarism at that point of time, though UAE doesn't exist altogether. But assuming that physical location is having barbarism, why these two societies are having similar things in stages? Okay, similarities in stages. So they are also barbaric in nature. These people are also barbaric in nature because the inventions were similar. So parallelly in both the places, the inventions are happening, and because of which you find some societies to be at same stage. Now you might be asking why Africa is unevolved. To classical evolutionists. So whatever the questions I pose, those are to the classical evolutionists. So then you might ask them, see, Africa is at this stage, whereas UK or France, you look at these societies, these two are at same stage, but this is at lesser stage. This is at savagery, this is at barbarism. Why these two are at same stage? Because at both the places, inventions happened at the same time. Parallel inventions happened, and that's the reason they are at the same stage. And how could they make similar inventions? Because these people make one more assumption that everywhere people think in a similar manner, they have similar thought process, which they call as psychic unity of mankind. Similarities in stages is because of parallel inventions. Okay, so they are moving from same stage. So they are at similar stages. Similarity is because of parallel inventions. And at the same time, why these inventions are happening parallelly in similar manner? Because their thought process is similar. So these people believe everywhere the thought process is similar, which is called as psychic unity of mankind. Which says that why there is psychic unity of mankind? Because humans have same problems, and if there are same problems, humans come up with same solutions. Because thought process is same, which is called as psychic unity of mankind. So you need to know that two important things of classical evolutionists. They believe that culture evolve in the similar fashion, that is unilinear fashion everywhere in three different stages, but remember they don't change at same speed. But if at all, if you look at two cultures or societies, if they are at same stage, it is because of parallel inventions. And why these parallel inventions happen? Because people think similarly everywhere. Okay, their thought process is similar and they come up with same solutions for same problems. That is why people's inventions are similar and they stand at same stages. Clear? So these are the basic assumptions of classical evolutionists. And at the same time, they talk about one more thing. So to show some evolution, they talk about the proofs, which they use survivals as the proofs. Survivals. So survivals are nothing but these are beliefs and practices which are carried from previous generation to the current generation due to force and not by function. Suppose I use this example regularly that in your home you find some artifact, right, that has no function to do, but still you pass it from generation to generation. But the same artifact has got some function in the past, though it is not having relevance today. So it is carried forward to the next generation by force and not by function. So that we called as survival. Clear? focus. Survival is something which you carry from one generation to other generation by force and not by function. Because in your homes today you might be seeing a clay pot which is kept at a side in your home. Okay, if you see in most of the rural villages they put the clay pots, but they don't use it at all, but they carry it. They believe that they used to serve ancestors in that or something, so whatever the reason. But in the past those pots have got some relevance function, but today without any function also still you carry, you keep it with you. So that means survival is something which is existing today but has lost its relevance in the contemporary times. That is survival. So they'll show that I'm sorry. So they're trying to show that by showing survivals, see, the things have evolved. Because if things didn't evolve, those aspects, beliefs, or practices of the past should remain the same, right? So these are the aspects that try to explain evolution, right? Now we'll get into each individual person. So Tylor, also called as father of modern anthropology, okay, actually Tylor is little interesting. He did not have any university degree, but he became the leading anthropologist in England. So you need to know that he's from England, Britain. Okay, he was son of a businessman. At 16 itself, he left the school at the age of 16, and he joined his father's firm because, like, he's businessman's son. And over a period of time, he was falling ill. He has to leave that work, as advised by doctors. He spent most of the times in traveling and leisure activities because doctors advised him. Blessing in disguise. So his travel was very instrumental in his becoming an anthropologist, right? He spent touring the United States and he met an antiquarian known as Christie who encouraged Tyler to accompany her. So he went there, he was looking at the relics and he was curious about those traditions. Okay, he was looking at the relics and he was curious about those traditions, and that generated interest in Tyler regarding the anthropology. Okay, so then he moved from place to place, and in 1861 he published his Anahuac, that means a travelogue about his Mexican tour. So about his Mexican tour, he published his travelogue. In this book, you will be able to see the interest in anthropology. So his interest in anthropology. Later on, he began to write several articles on anthropology topics. His first important anthropological work, you can note down, the researches into early history of mankind. Researches into early history of mankind. See, everybody will be knowing the most important work, but this is the first important work. First important anthropological work, name of that is the name of the work. Researches into early history of mankind, 1865. And next important work is the primitive culture. Note down the primitive culture. So you can see primitive culture was written in 1871, whereas research in the history of, actually that was written in a direct way, but it is researches into early history of mankind, 1865. 1865. He is the E.B. Tylor. Okay. So I told you the travelogue, right? Anahuac, which means that the Mexico and the Mexican. ANA, Ana, HUAC, Anahuac. HUAC, Anahuac. Travelogue. That means travelogue means when you go somewhere you write about. So you look at the works in this work, Primitive Culture, E.B. Taylor. So you need to remember this book. By looking at it, I think you won't forget it. In this work, Primitive Culture, which has been written in 1871, he has given one most important definition, that is culture. He defined culture. So he said that culture is a complex whole of laws, beliefs, morals, customs, knowledge, and any other capabilities acquired by man as a member of society. Okay, so it is a complex whole of knowledge, beliefs, morals, customs, laws, and any other capability acquired by man by being a member of a society. You need to understand and emphasize on the word acquired, right? So you acquire these things by being a member of a society. So when you are part of the society and when you learn everything, whatever that is there, that is completely known as culture according to E.B. Taylor. It's a complex whole. Whole means everything that you learn by being a member of society. That means that you acquire any capability, right? So here, I think I didn't write the definition, but if you want, you can write down. Culture is complex whole consisting of culture is a complex whole consisting of knowledge, comma, beliefs, comma, arts, morals, comma, laws and customs, and any other habits or capabilities acquired by man as a member of society. Okay, if you look at Earth, how Earth is constructed, the process within the Earth crust, mantle, and core, certain geotechnical processes happening, okay, and the geological processes that happen, the crushing of the plates, right? So these build up the Earth over a period of time, right? So whatever the environment that you notice today, it is because of the geological events that happened millions of years ago. The process that was happening in the past and now is same. It doesn't change. Okay. So that is what uniformitarianism means. That the same process is followed. Then millions of years ago and now also. So from that being inspired, these people said the evolution happened then also the same way, now also the same. So here E.B. Tylor tried to reconstruct the culture by using the idea of uniformitarianism, and he says that since everywhere the thought process, cognitive thought process is same, cognitive thinking is same, so people think in similar manner and there is psychic unity of mankind and the culture evolves from one stage to other stage, that is savagery to barbarism to civilization. Right? So you can look at this. He looked at the cultural history as starting from primitive existence. So he thought that cultural, by looking at the cultural history, first there is primitive existence, that is savagery, and it peaked through the progress over a period of time to civilization. Okay, so the role of anthropologist is to discover the cultural history and understand the laws which are regulating the progress. So, what are the laws that are regulating the progress? So, that is the role of anthropologist and thereby understand culture. So, this is what E.B. Tylor says. So, definition of culture, I told you that complex whole consisting of knowledge, beliefs, laws, morals, customs, art, and any other capabilities acquired by man by being a member of society. So I told you to emphasize on the word acquired. So that's important because you are learning things by being a member of society. You are not doing it by yourself. So he linked happiness with three stages of evolution. He says that at the savagery stage, they are least happy, and at the civilization stage, they are the most happy. And they say that civilization is the highest stage of evolution. He used the statistics in explaining things. I'll tell you like other contributions where he used the statistics. And he studied cultural parallels and cultural survivals. I told you, right? At two similar stages, at two different societies, you notice the similar level of evolution. They are at similar stages. They are at similar stages because the inventions happened parallelly. So cultural parallels. If these two societies are evolving in a similar way, then they are called as cultural parallels. They are evolving in similar way because of similar inventions. And cultural survivals, I already explained what is cultural survival. I'll tell you one example. In our Indian society, when somebody sneezes, they say or they use the word Ram Ram or Krishna Krishna, right? Why? Why do they use that? Does it have any relevance? That you will understand after some time. I will be talking about the Tylor's contribution, so that you will understand. So let it keep it little suspense, right? So you understood this contributions of E.B. Taylor first in the primitive culture. He tries to give the definition of the book in the book Primitive Culture. He gives the definition of culture, and he says that evolution happens at three different stages in a unilinear fashion because of psychic unity of mankind. Happiness to different stages. Yeah. So he says that civilization stage, they are most happy. People are more very happy. And the basis, he didn't explain the reason because he said that technology has changed and through which he believed the happiness also changes. So what he says is that initially all the societies are same, they are alike, and they are having capability by developing, they have the capability and they can evolve at different levels. Everyone is having same kind of mindset and the same kind of abilities. Okay, so he says that earliest stage of the society, okay, that is savagery and then barbarism. So from savagery it progressed to barbarism and then to civilization. So now the progress is happening from savagery to civilization, but it is not happening at the same speed everywhere. So what E.B. Taylor says is that in a gene, okay, when a birth takes place, there is a gene. So gene has got a memory in it, and that leads to the development of a human being, right? So genes are the ones which are present where information how your body should expand or how your organ should develop over a period of time at different ages. It is what is determining, right? Gene is what determining. So that is called as gene memory. So in the similar manner, civilization is nothing but that development that happens from the savagery stage. The general improvement of mankind. So just like from child, from the level of embryo fetus, so you develop into an individual. In the similar manner, so things expand because everybody is having a similar kind of mindset. Everybody has the capability. So in that manner, from savagery to civilization, this general improvement happened. So the knowledge of scientific laws and the power of exploiting the nature is least in savagery and the highest in the civilization. And because of this, they are the least happy and these are the highest, most happiest. So what are the contributions of E.B. Taylor? One is definition of culture, then theory of evolution, that is progressive progression from savagery to barbarism to civilization. So if you want to note down, just note down. E.B. Taylor sets out to reconstruct the history of culture using reconstruct the history of culture using uniformitarianism uniformitarianism. No doubt, Taylor argues that within the within the uniformitarianism, first one is using. See, how is it trying to reconstruct one uniformitarianism? So Tyler argues that human mental processes or human mental abilities are universally similar. Right down. Taylor argues that human mental process are universally similar regardless universally similar regardless of when and where regardless of when and where people lived, right? And it's the reason for shaping culture and development, and its culture and its development, shaping culture and its development. This idea is called as psychic unity of mankind. And next, the idea of survivals. Okay, so you can write the example of sneezing and many practices. Look, okay, so you take the example survivals. I told you, right? Survivals are those things which are carried from generation to generation by force and not by function. Beliefs and practices that are present currently, beliefs and practices that are present in today's culture without function, force, and not by function. That's what cultural survivals are. And by force and not from by function. Yeah, yeah. Example one, sneezing example. You can write down example sneezing, and you can write your explanation. So which I'll be discussing. And next, you can like death mornings. Yeah, all the beliefs and morals. What beliefs and example? Survival, no, survivals means beliefs and practices. It can be a belief or it can be a practice. So beliefs and practices which are transferred from generation to generation, okay, by force and not function. Force does not mean physical force, but for various reasons, for transmitting traditions, right? And again, example here, you can write this teasing. Other example is that when the death mourning happens, so at that point of time, people wear black clothes, right? In the West, you notice they wear black clothes. Why? In the past, in the earliest times, they used to believe that spirits don't notice them. Yeah, they don't notice them when they are in black clothing, and that's why they used to wear it. But today, the practice continues even without believing in it. So it's a survival. And at the same time, we shake hands. Previously, why they used to shake hands? To say that they don't have any weapons with them, they are unarmed. But today we shake hands for different reason, but not to show that we are unarmed. Even that is also survival. So these are all false. These all things fall under the examples of survival. So you understood definition of culture, the progression of society from three different stages, right? So that's theory of evolution, linking it to stages of happiness, and then you have cultural parallels and survivals. And next, coming to one important contribution of E.B. Taylor is religion. So you need to understand the thought process, the thought process of earliest people. They were not able to classify. Okay, they were not able to think about abstract things. That means ideas or something imagination kind of things, thought process. They were unable to think abstractly. That means they are not able to imagine things, and they were not able to group them into categories. What is this? So you put certain kind of objects into one category, but they are not able to imagine and classify them in the earliest stage. So hence, every object has a unique identity there because they are not able to classify. When you are not able to classify, you will keep everything separate, right? No category. So, see, we have furniture. Under furniture, you get many things. But if you can't call it furniture, then you will be calling every different thing with every different name: chair, table, podium, etc. Right? Hence, each object has a unique identity, and the people were living in a land of singular objects. So that means you are classifying everything in a singular manner. You are not categorizing them. That is the first thing. So these savage philosophers, they speculated about dreams and trances. In the earliest stage, assume there is a body and it becomes a dead body in seconds, right? There is a human and it becomes a dead body in seconds. Just imagine what is the change that you are noticing. What is the reason for it? Loss of dead means loss of life. But the reason, uh, you are in 21st century. Don't think like you're 21st. You are in 21st century. Just go to some island and go back to the stage of primitive people. First thing, first thing, you think that something has left the body. So soul is something which you give the naming later point of time. When you don't know what is it, you won't talk about it, right? You came to know about soul, you are talking today. But when you don't know, how do you talk about it? What is soul or something? You'll just say something is leaving the body. Whatever it may be, we are not bothered. See, when you are at the earliest stage, you don't know anything. We will say, okay, initially the person is moving and is able to do things, but suddenly he became dead. So that means something has left. So this is the understanding, initial understanding. In dreams, man sees himself meeting the known people or unknown people, visiting places. Then Tylor imagined the primitive man may have tried to understand this phenomena through the conceptualization of intangible object. So there might be some intangible object. He going and meeting other people and known people, unknown people. So that means there is some intangible object that is leaving the body, which he called as soul. So there is visible body and there is invisible soul. So there is a difference between dream and death. In dreams, soul returns, but in death, soul doesn't. So, according to Tylor, religion evolved from animism to polytheism to monotheism, and technology evolved from subsistence to domestication to art of writing. So, what is animism? Animism is nothing but worshipping of anima. Anima means soul. So Tylor even defined soul, a thin, unsubstantial human image, a thin, unsubstantial human image, in its nature a sort of vapor, film or shadow. That's how the primitive man may have conceived the soul to explain the puzzling phenomena of death and dreams. This was probably the starting point of religion. Anima means soul, animism means belief in soul or spirit. This is considered as the most primitive phase in the evolution of religious thoughts. So now, when the earliest people invented soul, okay, now they have invented the concept of soul. They have given the position of soul higher to the existing humans. So they have started respecting and started worshipping it. Okay, so now you admire the souls of the dead. First, initially you admire them, then you worship them, attributing powers. So slowly, what you do, you attribute powers to them. And now, what happens? There are many ancestors, many great people, many souls. So, animism, which was initially there, when you started worshipping one god, initially one soul, slowly you start doing multiple, and then that becomes polytheism. When you worship multiple objects, then it becomes polytheism. And now you arrange these objects in the hierarchy. One god is superior, then it becomes monotheism. So, according to him, that's how the religion evolved. Animism to polytheism to monotheism. When you arrange the gods in the hierarchy, and in the hierarchy of gods, one god is the supreme deity, thus comes the monotheism. Polytheism means, say, initially you have one soul, you are worshipping your ancestor, your own ancestor. Slowly you started worshipping all other ancestors, or for other different objects, assuming that it has also got soul. So that means multiple people, multiple deities, multiple gods. And now among that, you have one person who is above everything, or one god above everyone, and you arrange them in hierarchy. In Indian context, you have hierarchy of gods as well, right? So one supreme deity is there, and that supreme deity is considered to be the at the highest of the hierarchy. That becomes monotheism, though there is worshipping of multiple gods. So most interesting thing here is that this is almost the fictional part of the explanation. That means, like, whatever he's saying, it's fictional, right? Today, many anthropologists who think Tylor is right, and there are many more anthropologists who think that Tylor is wrong. Very few people accept today what Tylor has said. There is no proof that human has thought in this way. And moreover, the sole function of religion is not to explain some puzzling phenomena. If you look at, religion is not only having psychological function, religion is having social and secular functions as well. Many social functions are served by religion, which later people explain. So now you can see that when you sneeze, why do you call Ram Ram or Krishna Krishna? Because you believe that soul might leave. So to prevent that, to prevent the soul from leaving permanently, you use the word. But today still you know that there is no concept of soul and everything. It is the functioning of the body, different organs. Still you use those terminology and you continue to use. So that's a survival. Are you clear now? So there is one more thing which generally people don't discuss. No doubt, the best anthropological paper of 19th century was this paper of Taylor. Okay, so write down inverted commas on the method, on the method of investigating on the method of investigating the development of institutions, on the method of investigating the development of institutions applied to applied to laws of marriage and descent, applied to laws of marriage and descent, on the method of investigating the development of institutions hyphen applied to laws of marriage and descent. We said that he was the first to use statistics, right? Do you remember? So it is here you notice that he has used the statistics. Okay. This work was published in 1889. It was Tylor's paper. It was called by Marvin Harris. Marvin Harris calls this paper as best research paper published in the 19th century in anthropology on the method of investigating, right, the development of it. In 1889. So he systematically collected the data and analyzed kinship. He analyzed kinship, post marital, after marriage residence, and avoidance customs. Avoidance customs, avoidance means you avoid interacting with the person. So you notice this in the patriarchal families in current context, when the son-in-law visits the home of his in-laws. So then in that case, mother-in-law generally tries to avoid herself in coming in contact with the son-in-law. Today in villages, you still notice this practice. They tend to stay away, though they don't know why they are doing it, but still, as a practice, they are doing it. Avoidance is there. So he studied these three things: kinship, post-marital residence, and the avoidance custom around 300 to 400 societies. So Bhaskar, can you tell me what is avoidance? Avoiding whom? Avoiding what? I have explained just now, right? So avoidance means avoiding the contact between the people. Here, avoidance doesn't mean sitting up. Just don't try to use your hand support. Okay. So, avoiding the contact between whom it depends. Different societies have different avoidance practices. But in India, if you notice that son-in-law and mother-in-law, they don't generally interact. That avoidance is there. So he analyzed these rules of avoidance and their relationship. Okay, so in which kind of residence, that means after marriage, if they are residing with the mom side, that means matrilocal residence, then what kind of avoidance is there? Which people are not meeting each other or not interacting with each other? Or if they are residing with the patrilocal residence, that means with the parents' place, the, okay, boys' parents' place, then who are the people not coming in contact with each other, who are avoiding each other? So he tried to interlink these two, the place of residence, post-marital place of residence, and the avoidance. These two things he tried to understand. So he observed almost 400, 300 to 400 societies, and in that 45 cases, in the 45 cases, husband avoids wife relatives. Husband won't meet wife's relatives. And in 8 cases, both the people avoid both the relatives. Husband will avoid wife relatives, wife will avoid husband relatives. Okay, in-laws, they avoid in-laws. And then in 13 cases, wife avoids husband relatives. In these cases, and now he tried to link it with the residence. In matrilocal residence, there are 65 cases. So if they are residing with the wife's place itself, they are residing at wife's place, then husband lives with the wife's family, right? So husband living at the wife's family, and there you notice a kind of avoidance. So he observed where the people are residing and what kind of avoidance is being practiced. This he has done statistically. So he was the first person to use statistics in anthropology. They don't interact completely, means even if they talk, they use parda. They'll put parda and they talk. They don't try to connect each other. So it varies from society to society to what extent they are avoiding. In some societies, they may not talk at all. In some societies, they may not do certain things. Right? This is what he talked about. And then he has talked about something known as correlations, what we call today. And in the past, they called it as concept of additions. Additions. That means ADHESIONS. So Tylor introduced the idea of additions, meaning that certain social institutions tend to occur together across cultures. Certain social institutions tend to occur together across cultures. This is what you can notice. Religion, and along with the religion, there is other social institutions which tend to occur together. So you can see agriculture, polytheism are occurring together, art of writing and monotheism. So this he called as additions, or we can say it as correlation in today's time. So he has given the concept of additions also, not additions, additions. Okay. And he also talked about the evolutionary trend from matrilineal to patrilineal. Initially, the people were residing with the girl's place itself. So, residing at the girl's place itself, and they are getting inheritance from the woman, from mother to daughter, daughter to their daughters, next generation. Okay, initially. But over time, what happened? The married couple started staying at husband's place, and they are getting inheritance from father, father to child. So as this transition happened from matrilineal to patrilineal, the avoidance rules got changed. In matrilocal societies, husbands avoided wife's family. In patrilocal societies, wife avoids the husband family or in-laws. Just assume now matrilocal. Matrilocal means matrilocal residence. Matrilocal residence, what does that mean? A couple got married, okay? After marriage, these people will go to the girl's place. This is the home of the girl. This is the home of the boy. After marriage, they go and settle here itself. Now, boy is entering here. He will be having in-laws, right? So this girl is having mother and father. Now this son-in-law will not come in contact with the mother-in-law. So he avoids the wife's family. Whereas in patrilocal, the wife will come here and so wife is moving to the husband's place. Now wife will avoid their contact with the father-in-law and others. So here husband will avoid wife's family. Here wife will avoid husband's family. So this is patrilocal residence. Okay, patrilocal residence and patrilineal. So this is what has been observed or said by E.B. Taylor. So you should keep one thing in mind. This is very, 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 very important. Try to focus on this. Whatever they are saying is not right. Don't go with the notion that how can that be true? We see many things, this is not true. This is what happens to us when we sit and listen to somebody talking about these concepts. I understand. I can relate with you people. But these are the assumptions of E.B. Taylor. He is the one who is telling these things. These things need not be true. There are many people who question this. But when you are writing, you should use the contributions of Tylor and give the limitations also. So now this avoidance concept you can use in the answers when you write the answer. Avoidance and joking relationship was the question that was asked in the past. So when we are analyzing the paper that day we have seen. So in avoidance, in kinship behavior, they will read avoidance, but they don't know which scholar to use. Now you have a scholar, then again you will be reading Radcliffe Brown. You can write these people and you can tell what they are talking about, avoidance and when, how, in which paper, right? And how they interlink the residence and the avoidance. This is important. Specific reason he did not talk about it. Yeah, I understand. That is the question arises to any person that why is he giving all these things or why is he saying. So basically, they used to believe that in the past, the marriages used to happen at very early age. So the age of the mother-in-law and the age of the person who is getting married to their daughter is not having the great variation. In that case, there might be attraction towards each other, and that could be the reason to establish avoidance. This was the general understanding, but they did not provide it in specific. So our concern is what he has said and whether it has any limitations, how to correct it. That's it. So now the question is, in today's contemporary world, you notice the people after marriage they go to husband's place, and even now husband avoids the mother-in-law, not wife avoiding the husband's family, husband avoids the mother-in-law. That means the avoidance practice is there. So that's the question, the limitation. So how will you answer this? So whatever Tylor has said is not completely true and it's not universal. So not all societies followed linear evolutionary path. So that's the criticism, because you notice in many societies combination of multiple things, agriculture and nature worship, and you notice art of writing and polytheism. So correlation did not exist truly, and the evolution did not happen in the same stages. See, he said civilization is the highest stage and they are the most happy. Highest stage, you are saying highest stage, and in the beginning what is your assumption? It is ceaseless, there is no end. Then how can you say that is highest stage? And whatever the methods that you have used, those are all the secondary things. You did not go to them, you did not do any field work, you did not be there. You are just taking some resources, some books of the past, history of the past, and you are trying to compare and give conclusions. So that means you are just imagining. So you are conjectural in nature. Conjecturalism means imagination. So there is no field work. That's why we call them armchair anthropologists, because you're sitting in a chair and you're trying to explain things. So that's the criticism that you have. Today you can notice that primitive people are very happy compared to the civilized people, and everybody wants to go to their place, and most people try to spoil their place, existing place also. They don't let others being happy. So some viral video was being circulated. A person went to the northeast and they have some taboos. They don't let certain animals to be killed. So these people, even after saying, they could not resist themselves from doing that act, and that led to huge unrest over there. There was an issue. It was in news as well. You can see that they have been the most happiest without any external thing. But these people, you can see their happiness was derived from something. Unless and until you have something, you are not happy. But they have clear idea what is their need, and they just focus on their needs. So primitive people are generally most happy because they don't have all this stress and worries. By 6 o'clock their work ends. Because by evening it gets dark, you can't do anything, you will go and sleep. Right? And you are trying to compare everything by taking Europe as the base. That's why it's called as ethnocentric. Ethnocentrism means you are trying to say this is progressive, this is least progressive. This is the highest stage, this is the lowest stage. How are you saying it? You are taking your culture and you are trying to put your values and trying to judge other culture, any other culture. So even you take the example of white man's burden in India. So they say that it is the responsibility of the white people to civilize Indians. But what is civilization and which values are the best values and which development is the best development? Is it the Western notion of development is the best development? Today, every report publishes based on the indicators of the West. But is that the best form of development? We won't accept it because you're trying to be biased in your opinion. You're trying to judge other cultures and societies using your own values, right? So that's the one of the important criticism. We call them as ethnocentric. Okay, but in spite of criticisms, he was the first person to start the concept of evolution in anthropology, and the discipline foundation has been laid by him. Okay, so that's why he's called as father of cultural anthropology or father of modern anthropology. Clear? Any doubts with respect to E.B. Taylor or classical evolutionism so far? Clear, right? So you take a question. Try to write these answers. See, what we'll be doing is first we'll try to understand the concepts. I hope you're very clear with the concepts today. Any doubt with that? Any topic, just go through. You can take 2 minutes of your time and you can ask whatever you didn't understand or any uh, line that you feel is not connecting to you. You can ask, just go through. Religion, Religion I'll be providing. That's what I was able to tell. First, see, don't try to deviate from the topic. I'll miss out on something. I was telling, are you clear with the concept what you have discussed? And you have any doubt? Additions. Yeah. No. Addition, correlation. Additions means correlations. So correlation means you are trying to say that things have present in relation to one another, right? So he said more than one institution correlate with each other and they are present together. So that's what additions concept. I told you that when two societies have similar stage, they are at the similar stage, they have similar inventions. So the invention is happening parallelly, and that is the reason they are evolving parallelly. So why they are at the same way? Why they are evolving in the same fashion? So when two cultures are evolving in a similar way at the similar time because of similar inventions due to psychic unity of mankind, we call those cultures as cultural parallels. Cultural parallels is not uniformitarianism. I made you write uniformitarianism means. What is uniformitarianism? Just look at. So what is he saying? That everywhere people is having same kind of mindset and they have the same ability to develop. But doesn't mean that they are developing. Uniformitarianism means the process is same. But what speed? Here in when it comes to cultural parallels, two cultures are evolving at a similar speed because of similar inventions. So parallels means two similar things you notice. You notice a mask here, you notice a mask here. Both the people have invented a mask. So because Tylor says that same problems, same solutions. Because mind is same everywhere. But when it comes to cultural parallels, obviously psychic unity of mankind works there. But the speeds also match. Cultural parallels. If they are at same stage. But if you are just comparing two traits of culture, that means this is one culture, this is one culture. You are seeing a bow and arrow, you are seeing a bow and arrow. So you are trying to compare traits, then speeds need not match. So psychic unity of mankind is applicable in the cultural parallels. But if you are using the speeds, then uniformitarianism is like a process, geological process that is happening. It will have the same same way of developing. So you take culture, savagery, barbarism, civilization. So it will happen. Somebody who is starting savagery now, they'll go to barbarism, they'll go to civilization. Even now, cultural parallel means you take any two cultures and if there are similar traits, and why are there similar traits? Because there are similar problems, similar solutions because of same thought process that is present across the society. Clear? Don't get into details of such things because they never ask such questions. Only thing is that it is for your conceptual clarity so that you don't mug things. Okay. So next, first thing I told you that we'll develop conceptual clarity. Then second, I'll be providing you PDF which has detailed information. Third, I'll be providing you what extra has been taught in class through audios, so that you can listen to it and write it again. Okay, done. So that you have clear thing. So that we'll arrange in a folder. So every class, what are the things that are extra other than what has been given and discussed, so that you don't miss out anything. Clear, right? So it will take hardly 10 minutes to make an audio of extra things what has been discussed, so that you also have enough information to write as well. Clear? Anything else? Yeah. So even this class I'll upload online, but it will be given only when you miss the class. Okay, done. So this is it for today. Tomorrow we'll be studying about Morgan and then Fraser. And once we do these questions tomorrow, you will be able to understand, okay, whatever you have learned, how you will utilize it. So the concepts, everything, that is only for understanding. But when you write, you have to write the information most and explain it, right? So when you understand better, you will be able to explain. Though you know the facts, you won't be able to explain when you don't understand. So you'll get marks when you explain the concept. Okay? Done. Don't bother about